Hey there, it's Steve from Serious Keto, and this is the second week of our January 30-day challenge, which for me and for a number of you is the no alcohol 30 days or dry January. Now you may be wondering, why am I wearing this particular t-shirt, which perhaps seems to support the idea of drinking when I'm talking about not drinking? Well, part of it is just for the sake of irony, but the other is because I saw an article recently that listed the top 50 counties in the United States, so all of the United States, the top 50 counties for alcohol consumption. 41 of them are in Wisconsin. This is a hard drinking state. And the reason I bring this up is because as I looked at my drinking over the non-binge drinking period, so I would say over the last couple of years that I've been keto, I look at it as being pretty mild, pretty insignificant. But I'm comparing that, I think, to the Wisconsin standards of drinking. So really the context that I'm trying to bring to all of this is this is a state where people drink a lot. It's commonplace, it's readily accepted. And to not drink seems sort of out of the ordinary to most people. And in a way, that would create a challenge if I were more of a social drinker, if I were the sort of person that went out to bars and hung out with friends that drank or drink, but I don't. And in fact, I have let go of some friends over the last couple of years because of the amount that they drink. So even though I felt that I was drinking more than I ought to, or perhaps craving maybe alcohol more than I ought to, I still looked at other people, other Wisconsinites, friends of mine, and I thought, whoa, that's way too much, and just being associated with you, I think, is unhealthy. And I had one friend, I was his best man. Well, first he was my best man, then I was his best man. And after he got married, he kind of drifted away from me. And I didn't know if I had done something wrong. It turned out he had drifted away from pretty much all of his friends. And then a couple of years later, he died. And he died of cirrhosis of the liver and an upper GI bleed. So I've got a lot of former associates that were heavy drinkers. But on to the past week, giving you an update, and then I'll give you a chance to give me your update. I have a list. I've got like a lot of things on this, enough so that I'm probably going to save some for the next update or the update after that. But first, in terms of just overall health and biometrics, a couple of big ones, and I touched on this last week. The weight loss continues, so now I'm down a total of 4.5 pounds. I've changed nothing else in my lifestyle, in terms of exercise, in terms of eating, just cutting out the alcohol, down a total of 4.5 pounds. So I think I was down 2 pounds initially, and now another 2.5. That's pretty cool. Additionally, my blood pressure now, I just measured it, 121/79. It continues to just eke down, and I'm on a small dosage still of lisinopril, but this could be a case where in another week, I might start weaning myself off of the lisinopril, start taking it every other day, and then see if I can go without altogether. But to have normal blood pressure, no medication at all, to have come from a place initially, pre-keto, where I was on 2 medications 3 times a day for blood pressure, and was still, in the like 140 to mid-90s range, to get to a point where I'm on no medication and perfect blood pressure, pretty awesome. So, got that going on. In addition, this has been a stressful week. I mean, we're on day 9, and day 1 was, or day 2, was my father-in-law passing away, and we're still dealing with setting up the funeral, all that stuff. That's going to be on Thursday of this week. There's been some issues with Courtney, not like with Courtney, but Courtney dealing with things like car trouble and plumbing trouble and things like that, and me kind of trying to help her out, trying to troubleshoot that away from the other side of the state. That's been a little stressful. I think of the movie Airplane and Lloyd Bridges' character. They keep showing scenes of him saying like, I guess I picked the wrong week to give up drinking. or I guess I picked the wrong week to give up sniffing glue. That's sort of the way this week has felt. But at the same time, I recognize that if I were still drinking, I don't know that I would have handled this week as stoically and as supportively for my family as I did. So while it has been a bit of a rough week, I think it would have been a far rougher week if I were still drinking. In terms of cravings or temptation, I haven't really felt anything. Although on the 6th, yeah, it was the 6th, my wife was opening a bottle of wine. I was in the living room. I heard her opening it because she was using the electric wine opener. And I heard it, and I started to salivate just a little bit. It wasn't a craving. It was more like a Pavlovian sort of response because, as I've mentioned before, I really equate wine with food. To me, it's something you pair with food, or in recent cases that I'm drinking while I'm making food. But there's a strong food connection for me there. So I salivated a little bit. And then while having dinner, there was a point where my wife had gotten up and I was reaching for my drink, which was probably just nut milk, I think. And I overshot and grabbed my wife's glass of wine. And I got about here and then realized, oh, that's the wine. I jerked a little bit, spilt a little bit of wine onto my steak. Just a little bit. It was yummy. I look at wine as something that's a flavoring. It's a food. But I had that. I figured just that little droplet, that tiny little splash, enough to coat one bite of steak, doesn't count as breaking the 30 days. It was just sort of an incidental. But yeah, aside from that, I mean, I'm feeling pretty spectacular. I guess the one other thing was sort of like the 4th through the 6th or the 5th through the 7th. I was getting some sort of mild headaches in the evening, probably around wine drinking time. And it felt like a really, really, really low-grade hangover. Not enough to take any sort of aspirin or Advil or anything like that, but it's just something I noticed. The final thing that I'll cover off of my list from this week, and I'll save the rest for upcoming weeks, is I have noticed I am a lot more productive. And it's weird. I don't know how I would explain it. It's not like I've got necessarily more energy, or that before when I was drinking that I was somehow, sort of dragging throughout the day like I was hungover or something, because I wasn't. But there seems to be a lot more, I guess, purpose for me throughout the day. I'm moving through my tasks. I'm moving through my to-do lists with a sense of purpose, and I'm getting it done almost too early, because then I find myself with a little like too much idle time. And I've always been sort of a boredom eater, and I think to a degree a bit of a boredom drinker. So I may just need to start padding my to-do list with more stuff, because I'm getting a lot of stuff done by noon that normally I didn't get done till midday or, before dinner. So feeling good. I'm enjoying this so far. Now, one thing that I think people perhaps misinterpreted in my last video is that I'm going to hit day 31 or 32 or whatever and say, I did it! I can drink now. No, that's not at all what I was saying. I was saying I commit to 30 days and then we'll see. I mean, I only have so much vision into the future. And just like people, many alcoholics will say 1 day at a time, I'm saying 30 days. So 30 days, I commit, I'm not going to drink. What's going to happen at the end of 30 days? I don't know. What do I suspect is going to happen? I'll probably say, you know what, I think I can do this for another 30 days. And I will. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. But I have no intention, especially given the way that I've felt over the last 9 days, to jump back into drinking. So just want to clarify that for those who are wondering. Oh, I keep saying one last thing. I do, in fact, have one last thing here. Very many of the comments that I've gotten have stated that, you can't do this without God, without Jesus. And I tend to keep my spirituality to myself. I don't get up in people's faces about it, but I am a spiritual person. I pray daily, and I also believe that I can't do this without the help of God and Jesus, and that's why I brought it up when I did my confession video. And although I do pray daily, I've questioned whether I'm very good at it. And I was at Costco shortly before the end of the year. And I mentioned this in a post, a response to a post I had done to someone else, but I didn't put this in a video. I was at Costco and I was walking by the books and I saw this book. It sort of, I don't know, there wasn't like a halo around it or a shaft of light coming through the ceiling, going, ah, but it was a book labeled or called Jesus Listens. And I saw it and it just it stuck in my brain a little bit, but I didn't buy it. But it kept sort of, I don't know, gnawing at me. Like, should I get that? Why did that book stand out so much to me? And I drove home and I unloaded my car and I was just getting ready to take my jacket off. And I said, no, I got to go back to Costco. I got to get that book. There was something about that said, I got to get that book. So I did. Jesus Listens. And what it is it's daily prayers. And it's provided a great sense of both structure and focus to my prayer. And what's interesting as well is I find that the prayers tend to align rather perfectly with my day. It's uncanny as I read through some of these things how appropriate they are to what I'm feeling on that particular day. So anyway, I'm not trying to push religion, spirituality, Christianity, any of that on anybody, but this has been remarkably helpful to me. And it's the sort of thing that if you're interested in, I'll put a link down in the description below. If you're not, that's cool too, but I've been digging this a lot. So now it's your turn. I want to hear how things have been going for you, whether you've been doing the no alcohol challenge or some other challenge. What have been your results? How are you feeling? Any measurements that you can share with us that have changed? Any tips, tricks, motivation that you'd like to share for the rest of us? Challenges as well. Is there something that we as a community can do to help you, that can encourage you and keep you on the path for the rest of these 30 days and beyond? Let me know down in the comments below. Anyhow, I hope you found this helpful. We'll be back next week with another update. Thanks for watching.